I'm Evelyn Carter, 65 years old, and for 32 years, I've carried the deep, unhealed wound of a betrayal that stripped me of my professional legacy and redefined my identity. It was the spring of 1993, a warm afternoon in Brisbane, the air heavy with the sweet fragrance of jacaranda blossoms drifting through the open windows, as I faced my ex-partner, Robert Delaney, in the glass-walled conference room of our joint venture, Carter Delaney Consulting. I was 33, then a skilled accountant with a sharp mind for financial strategy, my innovative budgeting system transforming our small consultancy into a regional powerhouse. I'd co-founded the firm with Robert in 1989, pooling our modest savings, mine from years of tutoring, his from a family inheritance, to offer business advisory services to small enterprises across Queensland. My meticulous forecasts and his charismatic sales pitches had been a perfect synergy, our office in a renovated warehouse near South Bank buzzing with potential. But that day, as I presented a detailed expansion plan into Sydney, complete with projected revenues and risk assessments, Robert's demeanor shifted from ally to adversary. "You'll never run this firm. Evelyn, stick to the sidelines," he snapped, his voice a cold blade that sliced through the hum of the air conditioning. He revealed he'd manipulated our partnership agreement, transferring my 50% share to his name with forged signatures and ousting me with trumped-up claims of poor judgment and financial mismanagement, supported by doctored ledgers. The courts swayed by his legal connections. His cousin was a prominent barrister, and my lack of backup records, lost in a mysterious office flood attributed to a burst pipe, upheld his takeover in 1994, leaving me dispossessed, my reputation smeared across Brisbane's business circles. My husband, Paul, a kind-hearted librarian with a love for history books, stood by me, but our savings drained under legal battles. Our dream of a country cottage near Toowoomba postponed indefinitely, replaced by the reality of a cramped West End apartment. Those words, "Never run this firm, stick to the sidelines," became a relentless echo, a shadow that clung to me through every quiet moment of the decades that followed. I can still picture the weeks after the ruling, sitting on a threadbare sofa in that West End apartment, the distant rumble of traffic a constant reminder of my fall, as I pored over job listings in yellowing newspapers. The apartment, with its faded floral curtains and creaking floorboards, was a far cry from the sleek office I'd helped build, its single balcony overlooking a narrow alley. Paul took on extra evening shifts at the State Library, his gentle voice reading to me late at night about ancient civilizations, a small comfort as our finances crumbled. I pieced together a living with freelance accounting, balancing books for local cafes, teaching basic finance at a community college in Woolloongabba, each ledger a stitch in my resolve. Our daughter, Sophie, born in 1995 after years of fertility struggles, grew up in that modest space, her laughter a balm, but her questions a constant ache. "Why doesn't Uncle Robert like you, Mummy?" she'd ask, her small fingers tracing the numbers I'd taught her to love. I'd smile, deflecting with tales of tax codes. But the truth gnawed at me. Robert had turned my own network against me, his narrative of my incompetence poisoning colleagues and clients alike. Robert's empire soared in the years that followed. Carter Delaney Consulting expanded, opening offices in Melbourne and Perth, his name emblazoned on business cards that graced corporate desks nationwide. He built a riverside mansion with manicured gardens, hosted extravagant galas, and flaunted his wealth with tailored suits and a gleaming Mercedes, while I scraped by, my practice a small but steady venture by 40. My clientele grew, bridal shops, charities, even a few local CEOs who praised my tax strategies, their referrals turning my name into a quiet legend in Brisbane's financial undercurrents. But the wound festered. Robert's occasional appearances at industry mixers were a parade of condescension, his smug updates about multimillion-dollar contracts, his wife Laura's designer jewelry, his son James's private school accolades, each encounter a fresh sting. My parents, both gone by 2005, had believed his lies, their final years clouded by his version of events. Sophie, now a social worker, wrestled with guilt, her visits tinged with apologies for siding with Robert in her youth, while Paul's quiet support, his home-cooked meals, his late-night debates, kept me grounded, his love a anchor in the storm. The turning point came 8 years ago, in 2017, when the first cracks in Robert's facade appeared. His firm faced audits over inflated invoices, clients like a major retailer defecting to rivals, and rumors of tax evasion leaked to the press. At 57, with my knees beginning to ache from long hours at my desk, I began my discreet investigation, leveraging my network of former Carter Delaney clients. I'd meet them at quiet cafes or parks, my calculator and notebook a disguise, listening to their stories over cups of tea. Last month, on July 15th, 2025, I sat with Linda, a retired auditor who'd worked with us in the early days, at a corner table in a new farm cafe. Her hands, marked by years of ledger work, passed me a worn file. He's cutting corners, falsified tax returns, hidden offshore accounts. She murmured, her voice trembling with anger. The Sydney office is a liability. My pulse quickened. This was the leverage I'd waited for. On August 3rd, 2025, I contacted Claire, a journalist I'd met at a community fundraiser who'd covered corporate scandals with tenacity. We met at her office, her desk buried under news clippings as she reviewed the file, photos of shredded documents, logs of ignored audit requests. This could ruin him, she said, her pen tapping. But we need ironclad proof and the right moment. On August 19th, 2025, I delved deeper, turning my home office into a detective's lair. Amid tax manuals and coffee-stained mugs, I accessed public records online, my fingers stiff but determined. At 3 p.m., I found it a 1993 partnership amendment with Robert's forged signature, tied to the Sydney expansion now under scrutiny for tax irregularities. My hands shook as I printed it, the past colliding with the present in stark clarity. That night, at 9:18 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on August 26, 2025, I sat by my window, the Brisbane skyline a distant constellation of lights, plotting my next step. The annual Carter Delaney Gala was on September 10th, a glittering event to mask Robert's decline. I'd attend, not as the sideline accountant, but as his undoing. What he didn't know was I'd transformed my pain into a weapon sharpened by 32 years of patience and perseverance. The 2 weeks leading to the gala were a meticulous tapestry of strategy and subterfuge, my days at my practice a facade for the vengeance simmering within. By August 31st, 2025, my West End home office, its walls adorned with tax manuals and framed certificates, its desk a chaos of spreadsheets and pens, evolved into a war room where every figure I'd calculated fueled my resolve. Claire and I met nightly, her notebook open on my dining table, as we pored over the file and amendment. The 1993 Sydney expansion, my brainchild with its revenue projections and cost-saving measures, had been funded with falsified profits, its success masking a web of tax evasion. Linda's data detailed ongoing violations, hidden offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, unpaid GST stretching into millions, a near-audit failure in 2024 hushed with bribes. I contacted Michael, a retired Australian taxation office officer who'd clashed with Robert in the 90s, his gravelly voice joining us via a shaky video call. This could trigger a full raid. Hit him when he's at his peak, he rasped, his eyes alight with old grudges. I nodded, my mind weaving a plan born of 32 years of suppressed fury, each thread a memory of injustice. The gala, set for 7 p.m. on September 10th, 2025, at the opulent Riverside Convention Center, would be Robert's stage, a gathering of clients, media, government officials, and extended family, all dazzled by chandeliers and river views. I'd pose as a retired accountant, my silver hair swept into a neat bun, my simple gray dress, and cane a disguise honed by years of blending into the background. My role was to deliver the evidence to Claire, who'd signal Michael's ATO contacts at 8 p.m., timed with Robert's keynote address, ensuring maximum exposure. I secured an invitation through Janet, a former client and gala organizer who'd admired my early financial advice, her memory of me untainted by Robert's lies. She emailed it on August 24th, a gold-embossed digital ticket I saved like a talisman, her note reading, "So glad you're joining us, Evelyn." She suspected nothing. Her warmth a tool I'd wield. Preparation was a grueling ritual, a blend of physical and emotional fortitude. I practiced my demeanor daily, walking the park near our apartment to perfect a frail gait and a gentle, unassuming smile that masked my burning resolve. I rehearsed lines, just here to support the industry, though each word carried the weight of Robert's betrayal, Paul's unwavering support, and Sophie's silent guilt. Physically, I stretched and lifted light weights, my knees protesting with every move, but each effort bolstered my will to stand tall that night. I revisited old mementos, budget plans from 1992 with my handwritten notes, a faded photo of us at the firm's first office opening, a letter from Paul praising my strength after the court loss, a child's drawing from Sophie of me at a calculator. Each item a thread in the fabric of my determination. One night, I found a half-finished tax return I designed for the Sydney launch, its edges torn, and wept, the unfinished work a symbol of my stolen leadership. I also tracked Sophie's life, her social work in Indigenous communities, her recent engagement, hoping this act would mend our bond. On September 7th, Robert called, his tone dripping with false camaraderie. "Evelyn, the gala's a milestone. Bring Sophie. Let's show a united front. Laura's eager to see you." I agreed, my voice neutral, hiding the storm within. He didn't suspect I'd coordinated with Claire, who'd lined up Michael's ATO contacts, or that I'd commissioned a gray dress with a hidden pocket, its elegance a nod to my past dignity. The dress arrived on September 8th, tailored by a local seamstress, Maria, who chatted about her daughter's university plans, unaware of my mission. I tested the pocket, sliding the file inside, its weight a promise of justice. At 6 p.m. on September 10th, I arrived the convention center's grandeur, a cascade of crystal and river reflections, reflecting my inner steel. Guests in tuxedos and gowns mingled, their laughter a stark contrast to my purpose. Robert spotted me near the entrance, his smile tight. "Evelyn, still crunching numbers?" "Good to see you holding up," he quipped, his eyes scanning for weakness. I nodded. My cane steady, my pocket a silent arsenal, my heart thumping with the rhythm of 32 years. At 7:45 p.m., he took the stage, launching into a speech about his enduring financial legacy and unwavering commitment to the consulting industry. I scanned the room, Sophie clapping hesitantly, her fiancé beside her, clients nodding, media recording, Laura sipping champagne with a smug grin. At 7:58 p.m., as Robert raised a glass to his empire, I edged toward Claire, my pulse a drumbeat. I slipped her the file, whispering, "Now." She nodded, texting Michael. At 8:02 p.m., ATO agents burst in, badges glinting under the chandeliers, shouting, "Investigation underway." Robert's glass crashed to the stage, his face draining of color as agents seized his files and laptops, the room erupting into chaos. The gala dissolved into a maelstrom of pandemonium, guests scattering like startled flocks, media cameras swiveling to capture every frame, Robert's shouts drowned by the authoritative cadence of ATO's commands. Sophie stood frozen near a marble pillar, her fiancé's hand on her arm, her eyes wide with shock, while clients whispered furiously, their confidence shattered. I stood tall, my gray dress a badge of my hard-earned resolve, my cane a symbol of strength, my heart pounding with 32 years of vindication, and the bittersweet ache of a family nearly lost forever. Agents swarmed the stage, their black uniforms a stark contrast to the opulence, cuffing Robert as he roared, "This is a setup. Evelyn, you'll pay." They read charges, tax evasion, fraud, falsified reporting, each word a hammer blow to his empire, the list growing with mentions of a $3 million offshore account. Claire approached, her voice steady amid the din. "They've got him cold. Evelyn, you've done it." The media frenzy was immediate. Headlines like Carter Delaney collapses in scandal and accountant's 32-year revenge blazed across screens. By 9 p.m., my name a whisper of awe in the chaos. Robert turned to me, his face flushed with rage, sweat beading on his forehead, his tailored suit rumpled as agents tightened their grip. "You? After all these years, you spiteful old hag? You'll ruin us all," he bellowed, his voice cracking. I met his gaze, unflinching, my voice clear despite the tremor in my hands. "You said I'd never run the firm. Robert, never good enough to lead. I just proved you wrong, with evidence, with endurance, with the life I built while you decayed on a throne of lies. This is my payback, for me, for Sophie, for every client you cheated, for every dream you stole." He lunged, his fist raised in a futile gesture, but agents restrained him, dragging him out as Laura sobbed, her champagne flute shattering on the floor. Sophie rushed to me, her voice breaking through the noise. "Mum, I didn't know. I'm so sorry for believing him." I hugged her, the first embrace in years, her fiancé nodding in support, a bridge to a future we'd reclaim. The room buzzed with reporters, their microphones thrust toward me, but I turned away, my victory a private flame burning bright. The fallout was swift and merciless. ATO froze Carter Delaney's assets, offices, warehouses, accounts, halting operations across Queensland and beyond, while agents raided sites in Sydney and Melbourne. Robert's firm's stock plummeted, clients fled, and his reputation, once a pillar of Brisbane society, became a cautionary tale. The media dug deeper, uncovering a $5 million slush fund for bribes, a detail that sent shockwaves through the industry. Sophie reconciled fully, moving into my apartment to help with the practice we dreamed of, her social work skills aiding community outreach, while Paul and I rekindled our bond, planning a trip to the Sunshine Coast. Laura vanished from public view, her social circle dissolving, and James, Robert's son, distanced himself, seeking a career away from the family name. I didn't gloat. My goal was justice, not annihilation, but the sight of Robert's empire crumbling brought a profound peace, a quiet satisfaction that filled the hollow left by his words. At 9:18 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on August 26, 2025, I sat with a cup of chamomile tea, the news confirming his remand, a letter from Robert in hand. "Evelyn, I was wrong. Forgive me, help me," it pleaded, his handwriting shaky. I didn't reply, the past too raw, my strength too hard-won to soften now. Months later, his trial began, prosecutors wielding my evidence, Linda's testimony, and Michael's ATO records with devastating precision. I attended the first day, my presence a silent testament to my journey, seated beside Sophie and Paul, and watched Robert's defense crumble under the weight of truth, dozens of clients stepping forward with stories of overbilling. The judge, a woman with a no-nonsense air, ordered a full audit, hinting at prison time. Sophie and I launched our practice, Carter and Daughter Consulting, restoring family pride with ethical financial services, while Paul retired, joining me in community workshops. We hired Linda as a consultant, her expertise a bridge to the past. I visited the South Bank warehouse once, its doors locked, its desks silent, a monument to Robert's greed and my redemption. My revenge, 32 years in the making, was not just justice. It was my rebirth, a life reclaimed from the ashes of his betrayal, a testament to the strength I'd always possessed.